Well, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Drive Facebook Live. I'm your host, Bob Spitz, and my special guests today are Alex and Bob Saladna from Wicked Files. Now, Alex, I met the other day. He was doing an introduction of his services and product to our coaches during our daily coaching training session, and I was kind of floored by their product. I think this is a product that can help plug one of the key black holes in most shops, and that's the black hole that just sucks profit right out of the business, and it plugs up that hole. And I want to have them talk about this product and introduce it. And if you have questions, you can put it in the chat, or I'll just come up with questions and we'll see how this all goes. So Alex and Bob, thank you so much for being here. And the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank
Yeah, I think the important thing with what we do is to first kind of understand, not just who we are, but then also, how this idea, kind of came in place. And so, Dad, did you want to introduce yourself real quick to everyone? I'm going to pull something up here.
Sure. My name is Bob Saladna. I own European Service Center. We have 8 locations in Texas and Georgia. I've been in the business for 43 years. WickedFile, many years ago, I had some theft, internal theft within the company to the tune of about $186,000 within a 6-month period. That's all I cared to go back and audit. And I blamed myself at the end of the day because I thought, like just about every other shop owner, that I had my arms around exactly where all the monies were going, and I could trust my people. And at the end of the day, I concluded that I was mistaken and ignorant to that fact. And so I set about coming up with a way in which to keep that from happening. So basically, I came up with an idea for using OCR and using a matching of invoices, vendors' invoices, and parts to my customers' invoices to help us better track all the moving pieces and invoices and parts and statements and credits and everything. So,
well, as an MSO, you had a lot of moving parts.
We do, but even when I had a single location shop, you're out there fixing cars, coming in, dealing with customers. Before you know it, the day's done, and you go home. And I even had, when I had a single shop, I had caught theft here and there within that shop. And again, it was with people who I thought were friends, and my managers, and I thought we just, everybody had a real good relationship. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about your money but you.
That's true.
And so, I want,
and everybody knows shop owners are rich.
That's what they think.
Yeah,
they could be if they didn't have all the money going out the back door. And what we found is, most of these shop owners, they have no idea. They're so focused on opening multiple locations and growing their business that really half their business is being either stolen by internal theft, people buying parts for their cars, vendors not giving you refunds. I found where American Express hadn't given us refunds. And when I called them up on it, I had the credit card credit receipt. I called American Express up on it, and guy types in his computer and he goes, "Oh yeah, I see that right here. That's a computer glitch. Gee, I'm sorry about that. We'll release your money." So it's just like you can't really trust anybody. And so
you've got to audit. You've got to audit.
You do. And with us, it's made a huge difference in 2 ways. One is when we were going through our finances at the first quarter of this year, our CFO, we have a fractional CFO, he used to be CFO for Marriott Hotels, And he goes, you know what? He goes, your profits are up 9% off parts alone. That's a huge number for us.
Huge number.
A huge number. That's just whatever your gross is, there's a 9% difference in profitability right there. And then on top of that, our sales over the last couple of years have doubled. And I think what it is we've had a lot of managers quit. We've gotten rid of a lot of people over this thing. And it's because it's helped filtered out the bad actors. And we got good crew of people in there now that really want to make stuff happen. And the whole process, it makes everything flow that much smoother. And the people I have the problems with are the ones that I had problems with, keeping up with the system and making sure things are scanned. And
well, even when you have good people, we put locks on doors to keep honest people out. Crooks are going to break down the door anyway.
Yeah.
And so you just remove temptations. You remove those opportunities. And
No, that's exactly so.
yeah, and I think your product, I was really quite floored when Alex demonstrated it. I had been in the replacement parts end of our industry for over 20 years, and I said, "Wow, this is special. This is good." So,
Yeah.
Alex, why don't you show us what the product is and how does this thing work?
Yeah, of course. So kind of like my dad said, and the first thing to know about us is we're obviously a family owned and operated company. If the last names didn't give that away already. And at a high level, basically what we're doing here is pretty simple. You heard my dad mention, tracking parts is super, super difficult. There's stuff moving all over the place. You got the phones ringing, you got people in the back, and we're kind of here to help make the management and the facilitation of all the stuff moving as far as parts are concerned much more manageable. So the problems are bubbling up for you to fix or for your bookkeepers to fix, but then all the stuff that's going right is taking care of itself. And how we do all of this is pretty simple. What we do is we take all your documents, we say, hey, your statements, your invoices, your credits, dump those into our system. And you can actually have your vendors email them into the system if they support email invoicing. So you don't even need to scan stuff up in a lot of cases, which is great. Nobody likes paper. And once those go into our system, we'll actually use AI to automatically organize the documents. We'll look at things like, hey, this invoice you bought, we can see here's the RO number on it, where you put that in the PO field. And we're going to go ahead and tack it on to the repair order that's inside of the system. We're going to make sure that that invoice is associated with a statement from the credit card or from the vendor statement itself. So we're doing all of that for you. And then on top of that, we're making sure that everything going in is equaling everything going out. So if I buy a water pump from a vendor, was
Yeah,
that
yeah. Well, actually, walk me through that. Let's say you buy a water pump from O'Reilly.
Mhm.
Now, does O'Reilly interface with your software?
It does. Yep. So O'Reilly would email that invoice into the system. So you wouldn't even need to scan it. That's a vendor that supports it. When that invoice hits our system, we'll actually go and look at the repair orders and say, okay, was there a repair order where that invoice, the water pump, let's say that we purchased, was actually sold on there? And we're looking at both your open and closed tickets. So the money that's still on the table, if there's a mistake, it doesn't mean it's gone. And if we find an issue, like a really common issue that we see is maybe there's $20 of shipping on there, but that $20 was never passed off to the customer. Well, guess what? You're eating that in your margins, whether you know it or not. So we're going to bubble that up for you. Or if someone orders two water pumps and one mysteriously only ends up on the repair order, we're going to let you know about that.
Right.
And
Where's the other one?
yeah, where's the other one? Where's the credit for it, right? That's something we look at as well. So it's fully end to end, helping you make sure that all the dollars in your business are ending up where you think they are, and it's reducing the amount of work that it takes to actually track this stuff yourself.
Fantastic. Well, by the way, one of your fans, John Starkey from Hawaii, is watching. He says hello, and he says he's in the middle of rolling it out, and what he sees is fantastic.
Well, I'm excited to hear that, and he's going to be more excited too, because what I'm showing
Yeah.
y'all today is something that none of our customers have seen yet. This is something that's brand new that's going to come out in August, and we're really excited about it. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what you see right here, and then also some of the repair order stuff. So I talk a lot about spend, right? Understanding your spend, understanding where things are going. And so one of the things that we do here with WickedFile and what we're coming out with are actually tailored views where you can see specific things that are of interest to the bookkeeper or specific things that are of interest to just the owner. So everyone's role is complemented inside of the system. And so what I mean by that is if I look at this right here, I can immediately see at a glance how much am I spending with every single one of my vendors. So if I have a special deal with WorldPack where WorldPack doesn't charge me, restocking fees or they don't charge me shipping fees or stuff like that, I'm wondering as an owner, why am I spending all this money with these other owners right here? So you can begin to understand where your money's going inside of WickedFile. And all of this is based off of the invoices that are coming into the system. On top of that, we also break down all your statements too. So you can see right here, I have my weekly statement from WorldPack. 100% of my money's accounted for. And I can actually click on this. And this is obviously an 8-location store, so there's a lot of statements, but every single one of my statements from each location is accounted for in here. And in fact, I could click on this and you could actually see
Yeah,
right
slow down a little bit
here.
for us older guys.
Sorry about that. I can actually jump in here and I can see here's my vendor statement. You can see them 100% at the top. And I can come over and you can see where every single line item was reconciled against that statement. So if I have a $16 charge from WorldPack on that statement that I just showed you, well, I can click on this right here and you can see where there's a $16 invoice from WorldPack.
Great.
So
Now,
oh, go on.
you said, and I think you'll probably get to it, that I can look at open and closed ROs.
That is correct.
So from this software, can I go in and look at my open RO, or do I have to pull up my SMS and look at it that way?
Yep. So if I jump back to, this is the home page that we have here, I can come down to all my repair orders that WickedFile has identified to me as being suspicious. And so we have 91 repair orders. So it seems like a lot, but you got to remember this is 8 locations that we're talking about here, right? So, the bigger the shop, the more moving parts, but this 8-location business is probably doing thousands of ROs. So the fact that I only have 90 to worry about is pretty nice. And so you can see right here, I've got this little close tab and this open tab. This is actually telling me the status of the RO as I'm looking at it. I can see how much WickedFile thinks I'm losing on that ticket. I can see if someone's assigned this ticket to somebody already. So I actually have the ability to assign things and problems to people on my team. And I can see at a glance if that's been taken care of or not. And you can obviously filter by all of this as well. But I can click on any one of these. I can see the money, obviously, that I'm losing. The SMS thinks I have a 20% margin here. WickedFile's like, nope, it's more like a 4% margin. And I could see the exact reasons why it thinks that difference exists. And in this case, it says there's a discrepancy in the part cost. So I can see right here, I ordered a tensioner and the tensioner cost $139. And in fact, I can open this and show you the invoice right here. Oh man, this is gonna be hard to find. There it is right there.
There
See
it
right at
is.
the bottom, the tensioner. So we pulled that off the document that you uploaded. But on the repair order, and this came straight from the management system, we only costed it out for 137. So WickedFile was strong enough to see that cost difference. And in this case, it's a pretty small difference, right? But if I'm, doing a 50% discount or I'm paying my people on gross profit or something like that, we've seen instances before where stuff can start to become a lot more impactful, where it might be a $200 difference, or it might be a $300 difference, or this might just say 0 because the part was completely left off the invoice. So we catch
Right.
stuff for you.
Well, even those small ones, as your volume gets big, it's just a little bit here and a little bit there, and suddenly you're not making any money,
Yeah.
you
And the
know.
same goes with returns too, though. I talked about that 19% to, that 4% margin difference that we saw. Well, obviously $2 isn't going to change it that much, But when you forget to return or you don't get credited back on a $398 part, now we have a big problem. And so with this example right here, and once again, WickedFile is spoon feeding us exactly what it thinks the problem is. I can actually come in here, I can open up the invoice and investigate it. Oh, let me just refresh the page. You can see here's the crankshaft pulley, and it's found the return slip. We've actually uploaded the return slip into the system, which is how it knows this item got sent back. But what we don't have is the actual credit memo from the vendor. So we have no idea if we've actually gotten our money back yet. And so you can see right here, here's the crankshaft pulley where it's been picked up and signed. But we don't have the credit yet. So we don't know if we actually got paid back.
Well, I know another person who is watching, Lynn Evans from Galveston. This was one of her pet peeves when she joined with her husband at the shop, getting those credits from the vendors on returns and cores. And Lynn just says, I just had my first training session today on getting up and running with Wicked Files. I'm impressed with what it can do and anxious to wrap my arms around the program. I think this can help lots of shop owners. I think it will help me tremendously. And this type of tracking is what I do day in and day out. I know you do, Lynn. You're just a tiger on that line. And she agrees with John. Need to take a look.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to, they're actually a current customer of ours. They're a franchise. It's 10 plus locations, and it's 10 plus locations, a part of a franchise. And they were only auditing 10% of their invoices before because they couldn't keep up. 10%
So
was
they're just spot checking.
They were. But the whole goal with this and the whole thing that they saw was they would be able to get closer to 100% while still doing the same amount of work. And it's the stuff like this, only being able and only needing to focus on 90 repair orders and put all your effort into that, as opposed to putting all your effort into 19
Yeah,
repair orders.
spotting, each return slip against the statement, each RO against the statement. That's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's very time consuming.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And this is the thing that costs shops, time, it costs them money. If you think about it, we're able to jump from the repair order to the invoice, from the statement to the invoice, and we didn't have to do any stapling, any organizing. You didn't see 12 different filing cabinets in the room. So, these are all things that cost time and money, and more importantly, take you away from the value driving things of your business and instead force you to do tasks that may not always yield, profitable results for you if, if you're sitting there just stapling pieces of paper together. And so we're trying to get rid of that so you can focus on the big stuff.
It's interesting. We have like one of our other customers owns an Amco franchise, and his wife does the books. He works there every day, and they onboarded the system. She was somewhat reluctant because she thought she had her arms around everything. And the first thing they saw, they were being charged $150, I believe it was, or $200 a transmission for Honda to deliver a transmission to them a half mile down the road. They weren't supposed to be charged them anything, and it came out to $1,200 in a little over a month that Honda had charged them. And they immediately found that with the system because it shows you all the shipping, all the taxes, all the stuff that you're being nickel and dimed to death. In their case, it wasn't a nickel or dime, but it exposes all those issues so you can real quickly capture it and get a lot of those big problems fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the, I would say probably about 80 to 85% of the shops I talk to lose money to shipping every single month. And I've talked to a lot of really good accounting firms, people who do a great, great job, and they'll even acknowledge we can't keep up with shipping because shipping is so minute and so detailed. But with what we do, we can actually give you a view. In fact, if I come down here to this fee, shipping, and tax view that we created, you can actually see how much taxes and shipping each vendor is charging you in a given month right here. And if I want to start to understand why I'm paying those, I can click on this one, for example, for TR Wholesale Solutions. you can see the exact shipping charges and even look at the invoice itself and see where you're getting hit on shipping. You can see right there, it's $34.69. So it becomes way easier to keep track of this stuff and to see when these events happen, and more importantly, figure out if you need to take action or not. And that's the power of, some of these views that we're creating and that we've already come out with is you'll know what your total spend is, you'll know where you're getting dinged, you'll know what your statements are showing you, and if everything's getting costed out. And so end to end at a glance, you can step through every part of your business, at the start of the day or as you wrap things up at the end of the day.
Fantastic. Now, which SMSs do you work with?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we currently integrate with Techmetric, Shopware, Protractor, Mitchell, Napa Tracks. You saw our rider there on the deck. That is one we're hoping to have in August. And there's another one that I'm hesitant to announce quite yet, but we're looking at hopefully getting a seventh one on there as well.
Right. And which parts vendors interface with this?
Yeah. So, I mean, in theory, we're pretty much open to any type of vendor. I mean, we have customers who put their local vendors in there, customers who put their, WorldPack, Genuine Napa, the big ones. If you're talking about emailing and having that automated ingesting, that's up to the vendor. If the vendor does email invoicing, which a lot of the big ones do, Excel Parts, WorldPack, SSF, IMC, you name it, then they can just email it straight into the system. But if you're buying from a local dealer, you can scan up those invoices too, and they'll get thrown into the system and treated the same way as something that came straight from one of the big ones.
Right. So you just have to have a process in the shop to make sure that at the end of the day, everything that wasn't electronically brought in, that you are making sure that those are scanned.
Yeah.
And not letting those build up.
Exactly. And, at the very least, if you're just scanning that stuff up and letting the system take care of the rest, it's almost as much work as, crumpling it up and throwing it in the trash, but it's obviously saved for the future. It's sorted, it's organized, and you can always search for any document in the system down the road if you need to find it again. And I'll just give you an example. Like if I wanted to find a part, let's say I wanted to find an oil pan gasket, right? I could type in oil pan gasket inside of the text search. I could hit enter right here. I could come to my first result, let that load, and you can see here's an invoice from SSF for an oil pan gasket.
Right. And so you're tracking parts that are coming in, and if they're not coupled to an invoice, then what?
Yeah.
Then the investigation starts.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have a part that you purchased that does not have a associated repair order. And so that's where we're going to bubble that stuff up and let you know that, hey, there's a problem. And in fact, if I come down here, you can see where this invalid PO number field is. These are all invoices that have been added to the system, but the PO number is either fake or it just doesn't exist.
Oh, wow.
And so you can see there's quite a few in here. And it doesn't mean that there's a problem, right? Maybe someone fat fingered something, but what I see often is if a shop's using like names, like employee names or stuff like that as the RO number, you'd see this populate in here because when they do that, it very seldomly gets put into the management system. And so, that's the kind of stuff that can confuse your margins because your P&L is never going to lie, right? But the margins that you see in the management system only reflect the information that's put in it.
The other nice thing with this system too is I was reading an article about a year ago, and the IRS had hired 86,000 new auditors and automotive shops are number 4 on the hit list. And they usually come out looking for specific invoices or things. And when they do a field audit, I've been through 2, one with the state sales tax and one with the feds. You don't go anywhere. Your butt's sitting in that chair. They don't care how many cars are out there needing to be repaired. You're going to answer their questions. With this, you can give them user only access where they can't change or fiddle with anything, but they can search for anything they want. So you're not going to file cabinets, pulling invoices, receipts, and trying to show it to them or come up with it. And my experience has been if you can answer their questions pretty quickly and they see you're organized,
Then they're out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they sniff anything, they're there for a while.
Mhm.
They are. And with that
Yeah.
other list Alex showed you, those actually weren't made up PO numbers. Those are PO numbers. At TechMetric, you have to approve the work. So it's telling you, hey, they bought these parts for this car, but the customer has not approved the work yet.
Ah,
So well, it's grayed out like that.
right. I'm sorry, I'm getting so into looking at what I'm saying.
Well, we laid it out the same way a bookkeeper does her books. Verified vendors, you know, you get all your invoices together. You want to put all your statements. You want to put your world packs together. You know, your IMCs, your SSF, your NAPAs, and then it goes through. Am I missing, you know, any invoices off the statements? The system tells you, yeah, you're missing this invoice or that invoice. Am I missing do I have invoices but no statement? The system tells you that. Once you get all your documents in, now you start looking at the issues. You know, this part wasn't, the cost on this part isn't right on your management system. And I mean, you can review it and get rid of it if it's $1 or $2 and it doesn't bother you. But if stuff's not being sent back, if you've got parts that haven't been credited by your vendor, all that bubbles up, and then you can just focus on those issues.
Right. Because I know that that is one issue that shops have is making sure that those credits for return parts and cores do actually show up on their statement. You know, because sometimes they don't, you know, and I warn shops, don't wait till the end of the month to return everything.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance that you're not going to get that credit that month.
Yeah.
Right.
The other real nice thing about this is one of our customers, he had a Ford engine that had gone out under warranty, and he went to Ford to see about getting it warrantied out. And first thing Ford asked him, said, well, do you have your receipt? He said, what do you mean? He goes, you got it on your computer, just pull it. They go, no, we can't pull it for you. You got to show us the receipt. And since this is an SMS-based system, or a SaaS-based system, sorry, he just went on his phone. He pulled up the vendor, the Ford dealership. He filtered it. He knew he got it within a year, filtered the date, and boom, there it was, and showed it to him. Said, here you
go. Yeah, this is very trust but verify. This is excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to take a real quick station break here and talk about next week's show. Next week, we have a couple of really wonderful folks on with us. We've got Micah Howell and Wade Yelly of Exclusive Automotive in Las Vegas. They're going to be joining us. So be sure to tune in next week for that show. And gentlemen, was there anything else you'd like to show me or tell me about or tell the folks about?
No, the only thing I'll say is if you are interested in, you know, learning more a bit about WickedFile or, you know, even having the opportunity to, you know, see how it works in your shop free of charge, you can go onto our website at www.wickedfile.com and you can sign up and reach out to the team, and we'd love to talk to you.
So once again, that's Wicked File, not files, right?
Yeah, WickedFile,
Wickedfile.com.
singular, right? Right
Yeah,
there.
Wicked File right there, .com. And they can sign up and talk to y'all and get a demonstration. Now, is there a tryout period that they can be part of?
There is, yeah. So for Drive customers, what we do is you can do a 45-day or 500 scan pages, whichever comes first, trial. And it's your opportunity to see, you know, how the solution works. We don't even ask for payment information. So, you know, if things don't work out, You know, it's no charge to you. We want you to be successful with it and like it, just as much as we do. So that's the goal for it.
And it's the full
Fantastic.
system. It's not a trial version. So
Oh, good. So you're getting the whole thing.
yes,
That's great. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I think you got a fabulous product here. I wish you nothing but success, and we look forward to seeing you all more in the future. So
thank you
once
so much.
again, from everybody at Drive Facebook Live, I want to thank you for joining us, and you folks who've been watching. I hope this is enlightening, and by golly, take a look. As Lynn says, take a look and see what you got. All right, guys, you take care.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.